Hello everyone, and welcome back to Minecraft. Today, I have another biome to show you that I created. I think it's a pretty cool one. It's gonna be a lot like the video I made for this, where I show you my rendition of it that I built, as well as some concept art for the mobs within it, and maybe some features aside from that as well. Anyways, let's get started. And we're here! Welcome to the Desert Floodplains biome, and by extension, the Desert River biome. So, the basic changes you'll see here, I mean there's quite a bit, but the basic changes on mechanical level is the river only covers the water blocks from now on. That way the river doesn't look weird, it doesn't have those areas where it goes dry and you don't get that ugly grass on the edge. That's all that like pale color, which doesn't make sense why it would be a pale color in the first place. I mean, it's got a bunch of fresh water right next to it. Shouldn't it be nice and vibrant? But that aside, yeah. So this is the river, the desert river. And this is the desert floodplain. And the idea here is the soil here would not really be rooted dirt, but rather a new block called silt, which would allow you to grow your crops faster, because back in ancient Egypt, the reason they built along the Nile floodplain is because the Nile River brought a bunch of silt down it that would wash off onto the sides, and it was great for farming. And while we're here, we also have two new plants. One I built a rendition of, the other one I couldn't really think of a good stand-in for, but basically, those are date palms, and those red clusters would be the date fruit. And the wood, I don't know quite what color the wood would be. My instinct would say white or yellow. However, we already have both of those. We have bamboo and we have pale oak. But I'm sure there are still other colors, like, after all, acacia trees aren't really orange. Mangrove usually is not red. And so I imagine we could just make us like blue or something, because I would like, as a builder, to have wood of all the different colors. So far we only have, I think it's 11 different variants, and most of them are some shade of brown, or at least half of them are. But yeah, continuing with the biome, the other plant that we would have is the papyrus reed. And that could be used to craft paper, but also I imagine a range of decorative blocks, because back in the day, it was used for mats, it was used for like boats, it was used for a lot of different things. And it would also be an interesting thing to look at, oh, shoot, because it was a reed, and so it would be able to grow on the dirt in the water. And we don't really have a block like that as of now. I know we have lily pads, we have some seagrass, but those don't really poke out the top aside from that little bit, right? And so papyrus reeds, it would be different. They would be able to be in the water and create this like marshy type of environment. And the mob that you would be able to find here would be the crane. And now I'll pan over to Artistic Hestia for her to explain. Thank you, Minecraft Hestia. This is Artist Hestia here with your new mob, the crane. It spawns in the Desert Floodplains biome, and what it does is it grabs loot from the fishing table out of the water. However, with a cooldown that is slower than regular fishing, that way it does not replace your manual fishing rod, but it does provide a good source for new methods of AFK fish farming. And so you could breed it with freshwater fish, which it will attack. It will also attack frogs. And when you breed it, it will grab some papyrus reeds and build a little nest and lay a couple of these eggs in it, 1 to 3 of them. And now the actual design of the crane, it does not quite look like any cranes that we have in North America because it is based on a crane from Egypt called the Demoiselle crane. Thank you, Wikipedia, for having me discover this species. I think they're pretty cool, although they are quite on the monotone side, but that does make it different from a lot of mobs actually in the game, because a lot of them are quite colorful. Although it almost has an Illager color scheme to it. But I'm sure it's fine. Anyways, back to you, Minecraft Hestia. Thank you, Artistic Hestia. Yes, I do think the crane is a nice little addition here, and it plays well with the other features that I wanted to add with these biomes. Both this one and the other one that I will show you right now. And we have made it to our second and final biome of the day, the jungle river biome. And as you can see here, we got some pretty sizable lily pads in this river. And I imagine they are based off of the Amazon giant lily pads, which in reality are large enough you could probably fit a child on top of. In fact, I saw an image of like a 3 or 4-year-old standing on top of one of these things. They are a very cool little plant. And another fun thing they do in the wild is they have a bunch of spikes on their underside, so as they grow out, they crush and kill every other plant around them. They're more peaceful in Minecraft though, they probably wouldn't hurt you. And also, among all of the plants, we have some roots underneath the water. And those are kind of meant to represent the like fallen branches and exposed roots of previous trees. But I don't think we need to add any kind of like new branch or root block. We can just use the mangrove roots, unless, you know, we want to add some kind of new thing, which I wouldn't be totally opposed to. And swimming through here, I feel kind of like a crocodile. My head just slightly above. Oh, that does not look slightly above water. Oh, lily pad. Yeah. And the other plant we have here is water hyacinth, represented by these azalea leaves. And water hyacinth in real life is cool because it can remove microplastics from water. However, in the game, I feel like it'd be more of a decorative block, just another type of flower that you'd be able to add to the water. And it would make a great home for the second mob, that I will be adding with this biome. Or I would, if I knew how to code. Take it away, Artist Hestia. And we're back to Artist Hestia with another new mob, the freshwater fish, which is a collective title for these 4 here. Because we already have 4 species of saltwater fish, but we do not have any real freshwater fish. Unless you include salmon, but they only spend part of their life cycle in the freshwater, so that does not count to me. But anyways, we have the tilapia, which will be found in the desert and savanna, and are a species, again, found from Egypt, because that was the most notable desert floodplain I could think of. We also have the bass. This, I imagine, would have some size variance, kind of like a salmon, and it would be found in the forest and plains biome. The piranha, which would be found in the jungle biome, and would be the only one on here that is neutral, meaning if you punch it, it will punch you back, or more accurately, it will bite you with those massive teeth. And we have the tetra, which also is found in the jungle, and I imagine those would be more similar to the tropical fish in that they would have multiple color variants, as well as multiple pattern and size variants. Maybe some of them will look like discus fish, other ones will just look like tetras. This one here I have in the art is based on a rummy nose tetra, which I think are pretty cool, and they're also a great indicator of water qualities, believe it or not. They will be way more shy and or dead with small amounts of water change. Anyways, as I said, various biomes, passive except for the piranhas. However, I imagine the piranhas and bass also attack tetras because they're quite small, and bass and piranha are predators. Tilapia are also probably predators, but like, they look more peaceful to me, so I made them more peaceful. And they can all be caught on the fishing rod in their biomes. So piranha and tetra jungles, bass in the forest and plains, tilapia in the desert/savanna. Anyways, back to you, Microtestia. Thank you, Artist Testia. Back to the biome itself. Yeah, so it's interesting because it's got a different bottom than most river biomes in the game. As you can see, it is a completely sandy bottom with these dirt walls. And as it goes over shallower areas, which we'll come upon shortly, if I don't drown, I do have respiration. Yeah, we have these sparser sandy bottoms, because it kind of like the sediment is being carried all across here through the low area. But as it gets over here, the water's still flowing. The water still wants to bring it across, but it's a hill, so it's a little harder. And so it gets a little sparser. And then you get to the nice sandy bottom again. And once you get through to areas like this, if you had a boat, that'd be kind of a squeeze right there. And if I were to add even more vegetation, which I've thought about, but I think this is enough, it might be even denser, and so the river will become really hard to navigate. It'd take a lot of skill. But on the other hand, it's a beautiful little place. Anyways, I had fun showing you guys this. If we want, I can even give you the night shot. Fireflies! But yeah, this has been real what the hell? Oh yeah, so it was fun to show you guys around the place. But anyways, this has been the Red-Eyed Alien, and I leave in peace. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and check out my other ones if you find my voice or content interesting. Anyways, bye!